62. 62. That's my all-time record for puzzles completed on chess.com Puzzle Rush without taking 3 mistakes. And boy, are we close. Welcome back. I am Phoenix. I am a chess expert and a risk master. And it looks to me like we are closing in on our goal. We need 11 more. I don't know if we'll be able to get there today. I sure hope so, but we're not quite to where I feel comfortable to say that we've got it locked in. So we're at 51 and we've taken a single red X. What do we have in front of us? Step 0, count the material. We have a knight against a bishop. There's 2 rooks, a king, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pawns. But against 5, however, we've got doubled pawns and our opponent doesn't. So looks to me like we need to look for targets, and that's 1 target here because the king is always a target. And we have an undefended piece. So this rook is almost trapped, right? It can go boop, just like that. And then we are actually kind of staring down the gun of getting mated ourselves. So we probably are going to be moving this bishop, but I want to figure out a way to trap this rook by guarding this pawn here. If this pawn were up, it would be easy. I would go check, and the king would move. Notice the rook is checking, and then I would just go collect the rook. So I'm thinking that might be what we want to try to start with. We might want to go like this. The rook cannot take the pawn because then we go check. And yeah, we're not guarding the pawn, but now we just immediately take it. So I am thinking that that is probably the move I want to play. I don't think we want to go back check because the king can hide on dark squares pretty easily without any sort of interference. Now, pawn over, rook over, threatening this checkmate, like I said, doesn't work because check from the rook. And then we are blocking that, so that rook from coming down here. So then once we slide over, we collect the rook. So that we go like this, check, king moves, and then I go boop, and I've got the rook trapped. It's all stuck. In fact, I don't. Actually, I don't, because this bishop becomes pinned. So then I would have to figure out a way to get the king out of the way, huh? So I thought it'd be here, rook over. And then, do I have anything else I can do? I'm still trapping the rook. I just need to do it at a time when my bishop is not pinned. But if my bishop is here, then any king move causes it to be pinned. And then I can't move it out of the way either because that reveals the rook once again to me. So maybe there's a way that I can make this work anyway and go like check. And then where does the king move? Like here or something like that? Not sure. There is a pretty cool line, I think, where so I don't want to get myself pinned. So what if I just go after the rook right away and it takes here and then I go right there and you notice all these are taken away. Well, the rook is guarding the square already, the black rook. So what if the white rook goes right there? Then I can go up again and now 4 squares are guarded. But here's what I find interesting. This rook can't go here because of the pawns, here because of the king, pawn, 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 pawn. And that's the only square available. So after that, though, I can just go check. And I pick up the rook. So I'm pretty sure that I could just slide over right away. But if I go here, they go there. That's their only move. I go here. They don't have to go to this square. They can go to either of these two. And I haven't figured out how I can take advantage of that yet. I do think I could go push the pawn and that attacks the rook. But the problem is then this rook comes over. And don't forget, I gave up this pawn, so there's no bishop blocking. So alternatively, I can go like check, right? And then, but typically you don't want to do that. You want to save your check for later. So as late as you possibly can. So I'm thinking I don't want to go like this around or anything like that. It's got to be this. That's the only move. And now maybe I don't play the bishop anywhere. Because what if I go like check this way? Because now I'm guarding that square. And now my bishop is not pinned. It's still check. I guess the king would go here or go back there. And then I still don't have anything. I could take the knight and it's actually threat. If the king goes back, it could take the knight and it actually has to be retaken. But, oh, Thinking, all right, so we've narrowed it down, right? It's one of these two moves. So I'm thinking that if I go here, I can try to run down the rook or something because that's a forced move. And then I just have to let the bishop out with like this, but I can go here and then here. So, but I'm not seeing any sort of continuation after this because none of the checks do anything. And then I'm never going to pick up that rook. And I have to pick up the rook. So it's got to be this. And now, of course, now that yeah, it's kind of obvious now, actually. It was dumb. I don't have to. There's two ways to get there. Can't believe that took me so long. Now I don't have to go here. I have this one. Oh man. Okay. We're off to a slow start, but we got there. 2800 on that one. Okay, right. It's gotta be. Gotta be take there. So let's take a look at what we have. We've got a king here attacking our rook. Count the material. We have an extra piece. We do have an extra piece. My queen is, of course, attacked. This is, of course, hanging. So we have an extra piece. It looks like that knight will die, but we can figure out a way to get out of this, I would hope. I'm thinking it's check and then here. Oh, this is pinned. Okay, good to know. Now we want to find targets. So that's undefended. That's undefended. That is a king. It's always a target. This rook is undefended and this pawn is undefended. So I think that is everything, right? And then we don't have this though. It's defended twice. So not that pawn. And this pawn is attacked once and defended once. So it's weakly defended. Now, for our part of the board, we've got this knight hanging, this queen hanging, and this knight hanging as well. Well, this knight's not exactly hanging. It's just under attack by a queen. So let's just calculate what happens if we go like this and this. Then what? We almost have this hanging, but not quite. So then maybe we just lose our knight. And then I want to go like queen right here, mate, but I don't have a dark squared bishop. And then I would love to take this as well, skewering to the rook, but that doesn't seem possible either. So is there another way to keep up the checks? I don't see one. Now, we have another option of moving the knight, but then we lose our queen. And then we want to try to figure out a way that we can like deliver a final blow. And I'm not seeing that one either. One thing I find interesting is that we do have a line where we can bring this rook across. It's just going to take a lot of work. But let's say we move the knight out of the way. And what that does is it threatens mate. Because I can go check, king over, knight right back to where he was mate. So that saves the knight temporarily. Of course, it's under attack by a pawn and a bishop. Well, if the bishop takes that knight, so knight, bishop, then we go check. And then the king moves, and then we can take this guy. And then we've actually kept our extra piece because don't forget, we started with one. So that would be pretty good as well. And then the other thing we have is if we could just figure out a way to unpin the knight, we could swing the rook across. So let's say knight and pawn takes that. Then we go check, king here. And then I want to just move the knight out of the way so that I can go check. That's a little bit difficult to do, but maybe I just move the king or something. That's so slow that it can't possibly be it. Also, my queen's under attack, so that's got to be the first order of precedence, you know? I can either attack their queen or attack their king. So saving the knight just doesn't even make any sense, but I do have one check that's available, so we could try that. If check and the pawn takes, then check, and the king goes maybe here, and then I go check, and then the king would be forced to go to that square, and then I could go at least a draw, right? Check here, king goes back, but how am I progressing the game? I don't think that I am. Maybe like rook sacrifice, and then the bishop takes, and then I go check again, and what am I saying? There's a knight there. So all of these don't work. It'd have to be this square. Wow. Here, take, here. And then it's nothing. So I don't see that way either. So it must be moving the queen. So then if we're going to be taking this for sure, then they take that. We have to find a counterpunch. The only way is to get a knight involved in the game. So I'm thinking maybe like rook over. But then the queen just goes here. Ah, okay. There it is. I was saying, how do I deal with the queen here? But the idea is I take it. And this is actually pinned. So our targeting system comes back into effect. So it must be this, this. And then what if the queen goes anywhere else? No, it can't. It's trapped. Okay. Well, solved. Perfect. I had missed that this pawn becomes pinned after this attack. I kept looking. I did this the last time. You guys may remember I found it difficult to fork a rook in an earlier puzzle here. It was the 2283 puzzle. It was this guy right here, where I was attacking the king, and I kept trying to attack this king, right? It was like this, and I kept trying to attack the king and trying to figure out ways to get into this king. And the answer was, of course, and I'd seen this. I'd gotten to this part in my mind, and then I just said king here, and now like, how do I get here? It's covered. Well, how do I go here? I can't. How do I take this rook? It's covered. And I simply just, I was looking at all these squares, and I was failing to think about the fact that there's this rook over here, even though I had attempted to win it earlier and said, if only there were a way to attack this rook. And so the answer was, of course, this. And I had just simply failed to realize it then. And the same thing happened to me here, which is one of the reasons that I am stuck a little bit at like expert level. This is a weakness, but it's something that I've been training for, is to take a pawn. And then, yes, I'm trying to figure out a way to attack the king. And you heard me say I wanted to get this knight out of the way, but how do I do that? And then I was only thinking about how do I attack the queen so that it has to leave this diagonal so that the knight can come in. And that's why I found this move. But then I couldn't figure out what to do on queen here. And the reason was I'm so focused on these squares that I just forgot about this rook way over here. And that was the trick. Queen here, I take the queen, and then this pawn is pinned to the rook. So this rook was actually the thing, even though the computer is going to give me the queen instead. The reason they do that is this loses 5 points, but a queen for a rook is worth 4 points for white. So that's why the computer's testing me on the queen, but the real reason is this rook was hanging. So I'm glad that I finally was able to look at that, but I'm not happy with the fact that I was just so blind to it for so long, and that I should have seen that a lot faster. But I think we still got there in, what, 3 to 5 minutes? Is this yet another free puzzle? Okay, this pawn is hanging. This is a little confusing. It looks like the white pawns are coming down the board and the black pawns are going up, but no, and it looks like black starts here, right? Like this is the black area, but no, it's not. It's actually the first and second ranks. We're playing white, so white is actually going up the board, and this pawn is about the queen. So this king came from like here, and this king went like this. So we have to figure out how to stop the queening, and it looks like we do have it covered twice, so that's fine. But if we go check, then this pawn hangs, and then what I really want to do is go knight mate, but it doesn't look like it can. So maybe there's an alternate way. The other thing is it looks like it's almost a Zugzwang. This king, if we go knight here, the pawn can't move, therefore the bishop can't move, and the king is unable to get out of the way. And I wonder if that's it. Knight here guards the pawn. So the king can't go here or here because of, well, it can't go here because of the knight. It can't go here because of the king. And it can't go to any of these two squares because those are its own pieces. And then we finally have the bishop covering this square. And I'm actually really liking this because that really reduces our move trees to very few things. So here's that crazy idea though. What if they play knight here? So I play knight to actually what is B1. It's not G8, it's B1. Knight to B1. And then this knight goes here, and then we take it and we win a piece, right? No, that would be stalemate. So so if the knight plays to this square, we can actually lift the stalemate by taking this piece with the knight. Now it's not stalemate anymore. I'm still thinking that's a draw though, because I need all my pieces. If we lose this pawn, then I have to win. I have to keep both of my two pieces while also winning these guys. And that doesn't seem like that's reasonable. These two will just sit here forever, actually. So I don't see how I could possibly win that. It's not like I could take with a king or queen on either, king or knight or bishop on either of these two squares. The bishop, because it's illegal. And if I take with a knight, then the bishop will take me, or the pawn will take the knight if I take the bishop. meaning I don't have enough mating material left. So I have to figure out a way to win this without actually stalemating. Now, if I go king here, then the only choices are move the knight, in which case this is checkmate. So that's an idea. I could go here, here, and then take that piece, but then again, take, and I'm not sure I'm winning that. What if check? All right, let's just do the most obvious thing first. Check, pawn moves, and then I want to play knight here to where the king is, but I cannot. So what if we go check, they take, and I go here? Then my threat is actually knight checkmate. And I mean, that's tempting. That's very tempting. Here, here, king, right here. And then the only way they can get out of this is by controlling the mating square. So they have to play knight here. And then I don't want to actually take the knight, right? Because then again, we have that draw. It's not enough to win the knight. I have to finish the mate somehow. And I have to guard this pawn. So bishop, king. Is there another way I can access this kind of idea here? I guess I could go, yeah, king over, sure. I'm sorry, that's not possible. King here is what I meant. So bishop and king, and then I play my king, and then they play knight here, guarding the mate. How do we finish this? I want to finally, I have to use the bishop to guard this square. If I'm going to be checking with the knight, then something needs to guard this square. So it must be the bishop. So then how do I finish this? So that doesn't quite work. So what if I try flipping the move orders around? If bishop doesn't work because they take the pawn and I want to get closer and they stop me, what if I just get closer first? And now that my pawn is guarded now, if they do the same move, then I actually can mate them like this. Mate. I guess the problem with that is if I go here, they can queen with check. And then do I take that queen with check? And then they're forced to go here. And then what? We have opposite colored bishops at that point because I need to win material there. You know what? This pawn runs up the board. I can actually maybe just start pushing it. What if I go here and they go here and I go, yeah, what if I go here, they queen and I take that check and then they move here and then I just start pushing the pawn? Does that work? They don't have the counterplay. I can start trading off all the pieces and that's an easy calculation. But, I don't really see how. That's actually tough to evaluate because they don't have to do that. They don't have to give me anything there. I can push and they can like go away, and then I don't have to I don't have a way to trade the pieces, especially because they're dark squared bishops and stuff. So, one interesting line though is here queen bishop check here, knight in. They take my bishop, I take their bishop, they take my knight, I take their knight, and then I just queen this pawn, which is crazy to think. So that would be king, knight. Sorry, it's not actually. King, promote. Aha, I messed up. King, promote, take here. I go here. The bishop can't move. So then I would take this bishop no matter what. That actually looks pretty darn good. And then I basically all the pieces are traded and I run the pawn. And if here knight over, then we just go checkmate. By the way, in case I didn't mention why we're trying to play king over. And then I think that works actually. King, promote, bishop, king, knight. There's this check here actually. So I'm thinking there are only 3 different moves to look at overall. King, because this one isn't as good. I don't think it makes sense. We'll look at that one fourth. Knight, which forces the knight to move, and then bishop check, which forces the king to move. So I figured let's just go with the knight because it should be easy to calculate. Actually, I think all of these should be fairly straightforward since they're very forcing. That's the problem. I've often said that if you can play a move and then your opponent only has one possible reply, that is probably the correct way to go. Problem is, this is effectively only one answer. I guess it's two, but this is only one answer, and then this has only one answer. So I'm going to start with the one that doesn't lose the pawn. So knight check, because anywhere else, I think we check here. Probably. Okay, knight, and what do we have? Let's play king over, because now I'm threatening a checkmate, threatening this. Because I'm guarding the pawn. So check again. But then I can take it, check. And then the king has to take the knight. It's the only legal move. And then I guess we can go push the pawn. I don't know. And then when the king moves out of the way, we go back and guard the queening square. But then they come out and guard the queening square too. But they can't, or what? They go like here. So then promote, take. And then I push the pawn. And then I'm not winning because, I mean, they can just sit their bishop on that diagonal, and I've lost all my pieces. So I don't think that's the right answer. And I'm pretty sure the flaw was taking this knight. I don't think that's the right answer there. So let's try it again. Knight. King moves over. We don't want to win that knight because then it's a stalemate. So we said that earlier. Check. And then what if I go here? And then they go back and check me, and I have to go back again, and then they check again. And then I try something different, and I'm pretty sure I just can't do anything there. So what if I go like this then? Well, that doesn't matter. Maybe I triangulate. Maybe it's like this. So knight, and I just go here. And then, yes, he can go here, but then I come in and I win the pawn. I go back and guard the pawn. Can I lose a tempo with the bishop, like bishop here? Oh, that would be cool. That might even work. Basically, I just got to get out of the checks somehow. I haven't figured that one out yet, though, right? Knight, and then like king here so that I can't get checked. He goes here. We don't take it because we just said if I lose that knight, then I'm going to have to eventually give up my bishop. If I lose this knight, I have to give up my bishop for that pawn. And then there's no way for me to win with my extra pawn because this bishop will give itself up for that pawn eventually. All it has to do is find a dark square. It'll go like here, and then it's guarding this dark square, and you know it's not winnable from that. So I don't think so anyway. So how about if instead knight here, and I lose a tempo with the bishop, like something like bishop here or something. No, because then here, and my bishop is the thing holding the knight, and the bishop has to then move. So probably way back here. This feels so close to winning because all I have to do is get the king back on this pawn, here, one of these two squares, and then ta-da, knight is mate. And as long as I have bishop guarding the knight guarding the pawn, and then all I have to do is relieve the knight of its duty to guard the pawn, something like this. Now it's guarded, and then knight here, checkmate. As long as this knight is here, guarded by the bishop guarding the pawn, none of these pieces can move. They're all stuck. The only other answer is to have the king let this king out. Oh, why didn't I see that earlier? Here does let the king out. So it actually is a threat. I'm going to take your knight. So now, actually, knight goes here. I can guard the pawn. Right? And then knight goes back, and I go here or something. Yeah. I guess I can't. I can't run that. I can't catch the knight at the same time. Because, again, I can't use the bishop because the bishop's busy guarding the knight. So what if I go bishop check? Let's just try bishop here. Maybe that'll work. And then knight, and then the king goes there, and I don't have a good follow-up. Okay. And finally, king, queen, take it. Can't do anything to me. Yeah, king. How about knight goes here? Now I knight block. Didn't we just transpose? Take, take. Well, the only thing actually, this works just fine. If I go here, I think I said earlier it's stalemate. It's not. That lifts the stalemate. Here, I take it. And here, I take that with check. Or you can even take it with a knight and then take here. Nah, I'll take it with check. Probably. I don't know. I can decide, I think, in a second here. And then knight here is mate. So that looks like the best one. Knight here is mate. And then knight here, I can actually take it because I thought it was stalemate, but it isn't. King comes out. And then knight here, I can take that. I can take it with the knight check, and I've won a piece. Tempting. I'm thinking I gotta just move here because I'm not seeing the full thing. But knight here looks so darn good, right? Yeah, I don't like the knight move because knight, it hits two pieces at the same time, and if I take it with the king, it's a stalemate because the pawn is held. And if I take it with the knight check, king takes this guy. So again, it's knight, it's a fork of two pieces. So if I take it with a knight check, king takes this pawn, and now my hopes of victory are gone. So it just, I mean, there's not much else to think about, I don't think, because if I do nothing, he'll just take a piece. So it has to be this, which guards the pawn. And then maybe if the knight takes here, then we have something. What? Knight. And then again, if I take this, I think I cannot win anymore. So maybe though, if the king takes this, I can like cut him off with like that. And then the only legal moves are give me your pawn, which is, I still think that's a draw, or king over, and then maybe I have some sort of like mate on the side of the board or something with these guys, but I doubt that. So if king over, so what else is there? Bishop check, king here, and then do I have like a mate? No, I just don't. So I think I'm gonna just guess at this point. Probably our last tactic of the video. Anyway, I only have 1x, so I can take another one. I don't feel comfortable about any of these moves, but we're going to see. That's right. Okay. I mean, we deduced that it couldn't be knight here on account of this move. So now the question is, can we go like bishop check or something? Because then the knight checks, but then there's no way for me to like continue the game, I don't think. Maybe I can run my pawn up the board, actually. And then if you take my bishop, though, I have to take back and you queen with check. So that can't be good. If I take here, you take here, but we already saw this. Then I don't see how I continue from there. I would just have to like this move, which cuts you off. You'd play that. And then if you ever promote the pawn, I take it. And then it's a draw. So if I take here, you take there. So I must maintain the pawn in order to win the game. So what if I play here check? Then you are forced to play knight takes. And then I don't have anything. That's check. So it's not bishop here, but maybe I can like tempo you away because your king can't move. And but you're threatening this, and then I could go check. And then take and take. And then I push, but then here, and it's over. Or it's a draw, that is. Right here, they take it with check, so that's out. Like, I'll just go here, and at worst, they go check. So this is wrong. If bishop check, knight takes it, king takes it, and then I push the pawn, and they move out of the way, and I push the pawn, and they queen. So that's wrong. So it's not this or this. If knight goes here, I think they take it anyway. And then I push the pawn, and they just come right back out. They go here. And They're threatening the queen and threatening the bishop. So the bishop might leave, maybe, right? But then I think they queen, bishop takes it, knight takes it, they take with the knight, bishop comes out, it's stopped. For this pawn, that's a draw. So this is wrong. This is wrong twice. If king takes the knight, they take my pawn, and then I go probably have to stop the queening. So check or something. Then they go back, and then I guard them. Oh, wait, this is something I hadn't considered. Wait, this is stalemate, right? Right? Isn't it? Hang on a second. I take the knight. Actually, I'm sorry. I take the knight. They just queen double check. They can actually promote to a knight. No, they wouldn't. They would just promote to a queen. There's no reason not to. So I can't take the knight. So that's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. What else is there? I can't go here. That's illegal. I can't go to any of these two squares. That's illegal. What if I went right here? They're threatening the queen. I don't get it. I mean, I've looked at every move here, so I missed something, right? I've missed something here. And so it's got to be either knight, bishop, or king, right? It's either bishop here, knight here, king here. We could push the pawn, but that seems silly. And then the other idea is bishop to here trying to come in this way, because that's a mate. So what if I go here and they go promote, right? To just promote. And then we're back at the same old, like, dumb kind of thing. I can't give up a piece, right? Can't, like, allow the promotion. If I promote, I have to take it, and then I have to basically give up a piece for that. So my bishop is attacked. They're forking basically these two squares. So let's just try bishop here. Struggle. I am on the struggle bus, everybody. At least we know the only legal move is knight takes. Well, if you enjoy the struggle bus as much as I do, why don't you hit the like button? And then we can all share in this glory together, right? So, I don't know. Bishop check takes, that's check. We don't want to do that. All right, bishop takes, knight takes. It's like a smothered mate or something. How would I mate them? Like this or something? Knight e4 trying to come into here, but then they just come back out, right? Did they just come back out? Oh, no, they take my pawn. Jeez. Oh, that's still mate. Oh, that's still mate. Oh, man. They can't move the knight. They can't move the knight to guard the square. If they just come to the square, it doesn't matter. I don't need the knight there to smother mate. That's it, because the knight controls that square. Oh, dude. Dude. Oh, man. I was just thinking somehow I needed the smothered mate here with the knight there. It doesn't matter. The knight covers that square. This is the same mate that we tried to do like 10 minutes ago. I don't need all this stuff. I made him smother himself. If the knight comes out here, which I thought was the move, I just take it. Oh my God. Oh man, I liked that one. But oh my gosh, if you like that too, hit the like button. Aren't I just mating here? I'm guessing it's going to be knight check, and then like check, and then the queen is going to come back and block, and then I'm going to go knight check or knight check or something like that. But we're going to think about this one the next time, I think. I definitely had fun on that last one. That was a hard one for me. Love to know. Leave me a comment if you found it easy, if you were screaming at your screen to see that mate in 3 at the end, because I sure wasn't. To be honest, I was guessing most of that time. Just, I couldn't do anything else, right? I couldn't, like, I tried all the squares. You saw me do it. So, I still had fun on that, and I hope you had fun. I hope you hit the like. I hope you subscribe, and I will see you for the next one.